Welcome back to the deep dive. You know, if you follow tech even a little bit, September feels like Apple season, right?
Absolutely. It's not autumn, it's iPhone time.
Exactly. Every year, like clockwork, the invites appear, the rumors go crazy, and then bam, the big iPhone reveal. It's just so predictable now. But when you take a step back, you have to wonder, is this just how it ended up? Some tradition they stumbled into? Or is there something deeper? A real strategy behind picking September every single time. Okay, let's unpack this.
Oh, it's definitely the second one, is strategy. We've looked at, the history, the economic side, supply chain reports, even marketing psychology. And what comes through loud and clear is that September isn't random at all.
Not a coincidence.
Not even close. It's this really well-orchestrated blend of factors. And honestly, if you get why they anchor their main product in September, it gives you a great shortcut to understanding how the whole global tech world kind of dances around Apple's schedule.
So what are the main pieces then?
Well, we can break it down into maybe 4 core pillars for today. First, there's the history, how they shifted to early autumn. Then the big one, the fiscal strategy and holiday timing. Third, the sheer complexity of the production logistics, why it has to be then. And finally, the marketing hype machine they've built.
Okay, let's start with the history. Because I remember the very first iPhone. That wasn't September, was it?
No, not at all. Steve Jobs unveiled the original back in January 2007 at Macworld.
Right, Macworld. Feels like a lifetime ago.
Doesn't it? And those early launches, they were kind of all over the place, sometimes tied to trade shows, sometimes just whenever the phone was ready, it seems.
So when did this September pattern actually start to lock in? And maybe more importantly, why? Why standardize it?
Well, the sources show they were definitely, feeling it out at first, but the real pivot point seems to be around 2011.
Okay.
Now, technically, the iPhone 4S came out in October that year, but that event, that keynote, that really marked the start of this regular, fixed early autumn schedule.
So after 2011, it was pretty much set. No more guessing about the season.
Exactly. Before that, it was fluid. Afterwards, it became the expectation, autumn.
But you said the 4S was October. Why the shift specifically into September over time? Was there some pressure pushing it slightly earlier?
Well, the key thing they gained right away, whether it was early October or later September, was consistency. By picking that specific season, they just eliminated all the guesswork about when the reveal might happen.
Okay, so the media, the analysts.
Everyone. And consumers, too. Suddenly, people stopped asking, when's the new iPhone coming? And started focusing just on what is the new iPhone.
That makes sense. Channeling the anticipation.
Precisely. That predictability itself was the first really big strategic move.
Yeah.
Setting the stage.
And okay, that historical consistency then feeds right into the money side, doesn't it? Why is September such a financial sweet spot for them? This is where it gets really interesting, I think.
Yeah, this is arguably the core business reason. There are 2 huge financial upsides, but one is definitely the primary driver. It's their fiscal calendar. Apple's fiscal year ends at the end of September.
Oh, okay.
So by launching the brand new iPhones right then, those first few days, first couple of weeks of massive sales, they land directly in the final quarter of their fiscal year.
Wow. So it's like the ultimate grand finale for their financial year, boosting the numbers right before they close the books.
That's exactly it. Think about it from a shareholder perspective or for market analysts. It ensures they end their year with this huge burst of revenue and momentum. It looks fantastic.
It de-risks their annual report in a way.
Fundamentally, no other month gives them that direct, guaranteed shot in the arm right before the fiscal year closes. It's pretty smart.
Okay, that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
What's the other financial angle?
The other one is still critical, and that's the holiday season. September is just perfectly placed. It's right before the peak shopping frenzy kicks off. October, November, December.
Right before Black Friday, Christmas.
Exactly. Launching in September gives them a good couple of months to ramp up inventory, maybe smooth out any little production wrinkles, and really saturate the market before those crucial buying windows open wide. They're primed and ready.
That timing is just incredibly neat. Aligning the financial reporting with the peak consumer demand. Very sophisticated.
It really is.
But okay, even the best financial timing doesn't work if you can't actually make the phones. We're talking millions, tens of millions of devices. The logistics must be mind-boggling. How does that whole production timeline dictate September?
Oh, it's not just logistics. It's like a global symphony of synchronization. Imagine trying to build, 50 interconnected skyscrapers, and they all have to open perfectly on the exact same day.
That's a daunting analogy.
It is, because the entire development and production cycle basically works backwards from that September keynote date.
Yeah.
That date is the anchor for everything.
So what does that backward planning look like? Break it down.
Okay, so months and months in advance, you have the supply chain ramp up. Partners like Foxconn, component suppliers like TSMC making the chips. They need to start sourcing materials, testing custom parts, the displays, the cameras, the processors way ahead of time.
We're talking spring, maybe even earlier.
Yeah, early spring for sure. The volumes are just astronomical. They need dedicated assembly lines, trained workers. By the time, say, June hits, those core components really need to be flowing reliably so mass assembly can begin.
So assembly happens over the summer.
Right, and that's why September becomes this critical sweet spot. It's the perfect balance point between having the hardware physically ready and having the software fully baked and tested. Production needs to happen in early to midsummer. That leaves late August, early September free for the absolutely crucial final stages.
Quality control testing.
Exactly. Final quality checks, stress testing, and maybe most importantly, last-minute bug squashing. You simply cannot rush that final phase. It needs that buffer.
And I guess the software side really locks that timing in place, doesn't it?
It's the final piece of the puzzle, the software synchronization. The new version of iOS, the operating system, it's always time to drop right alongside the new hardware.
So people get the intended experience from day one.
Precisely. But that means the final version of the software they call the Gold Master needs to be locked down, finished probably in late August.
Okay.
So if the hardware launch slips, the OS launch gets messy. If the OS has a delay, well, then you launch brand new phones with older software, which is not ideal. That final software deadline naturally pushes the hardware reveal into that first couple of weeks of September.
It really paints a picture of how tightly integrated everything is. The hardware build, the software finalization, it all converges on that early autumn window.
It has.
It's inextricably linked.
Okay, so we've got history, finance, logistics. Let's switch gears to marketing. Because let's be honest, this consistent September launch has turned into its own phenomenon. iPhone season, like you said, it feels like a self-fulfilling prophecy of hype now. The media basically clears its calendar for Apple. Yes. And what's fascinating here is how Apple essentially uses that predictability as a core part of its marketing genius. By consistently anchoring their flagship product in September, they achieve this almost total dominance of the news cycle for that period.
Unavoidable coverage.
Completely. Every tech site, every major newspaper, social media, it's all Apple, all the time for a week or two. And think about the ripple effect.
What do you mean?
Strategic exclusion. It forces every other major tech company, Samsung, Google, whoever, launching rival phones or even big news services to consciously avoid that September window.
Because they just get drowned out.
Totally buried. If you launch your big thing the same week as the new iPhone, you know you're fighting for scraps of attention. It's like a strategic land grab for the world's focus.
So competitors are pushed into spring or maybe late summer trying to find clean air.
They have to. Apple effectively claims September, media-wise, and this then feeds right back into their brand image. The sources always talk about the spectacle, the queues outside stores.
People camping out.
Yeah, the live streams watched by millions, the global media descending. This whole ritual reinforces Apple not just as a company selling phones, but as a cultural force. It makes owning the newest iPhone feel like participating in a global event, not just making a purchase. That manufactured anticipation is an incredibly powerful marketing asset.
It really is something to watch each year. Now, September is clearly the rule, the bedrock. But we should probably touch on the fact that it's not always exactly the same. There are nuances, right? Sometimes other products get pulled into the event.
That's a good point. While the iPhone is the anchor, Apple definitely leverages that massive audience. They often use the September stage to launch new Apple Watches, sometimes iPads, maybe talk about services updates, basically capitalize on all those eyeballs being tuned in.
Makes sense to bundle things.
And the system, while incredibly robust, isn't completely rigid. We've seen exceptions. Supply chain issues, especially during the peak of the COVID pandemic, definitely caused some delays, pushing announcements into October sometimes.
Right, those were unusual circumstances.
But we also see really interesting tactical shifts, even within September, that show just how strategic they are. Take 2024, for instance. The sources point out they chose a Monday, September 9th, for the launch.
Which is a bit different from their usual maybe midweek or Friday slot.
Exactly. Usually it's Tuesday or Wednesday, sometimes Friday. A Monday is less common.
So why the shift? avoiding a Friday hangover.
Apparently, the thinking was more strategic. The reports suggested they specifically chose that Monday to avoid potential clashes later in the week. Things like major political announcements or maybe significant regulatory news that was expected.
Wow, so they're not just planning the launch, they're actively trying to clear the news runway after the launch too.
Precisely. It's not enough just to dominate the launch day itself. They want to control the news cycle for the following days too, and avoid having their message diluted or overshadowed by, say, some big political smat or a negative regulatory headline.
That shows incredible attention to detail. So September is fixed for all those big structural reasons, finance, logistics, but the exact day is pure tactics, looking at the global news landscape.
It's about maximizing impact and actively minimizing any potential outside interference or risk. A very fine-tuned balancing act.
Okay, so summing this all up, for you, listening to this, trying to grasp the whole system, September isn't arbitrary. It's this crucial intersection point, this nexus, where the hard realities of the supply chain meet global financial deadlines, meet incredibly effective long-term brand psychology. It all comes together then.
It's a really potent combination,
Yeah.
and if we connect this to the bigger picture, the impact of locking in that date just radiates outwards. For you as a consumer, that predictability kind of guides your buying habits, doesn't it?
How so?
Well, if you buy a top-tier phone in, say, July or August, you're consciously buying something that's about to be replaced. It encourages patience, encourages waiting for September. It channels demand into their preferred window.
Yeah, that fear of buying the old model is real.
Yeah, definitely. And for competitors, like we touched on, it basically dictates their launch schedules. Major rivals plan their big phone releases for the spring or maybe early summer, essentially handing over the most valuable media month of the year to Apple just to avoid being completely overshadowed.
The date itself is a competitive weapon.
Absolutely. It shapes the rhythm of the entire industry.
Which really leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to maybe mull over. Given this immense logistical puzzle that need to balance chip production, assembly lines, software maturity, how much power does Apple's fixed September timing actually give it over its suppliers? Think about giants like Foxconn, TSMC. Is Apple effectively dictating their global development calendars, their investment plans, even their pricing, just by planting its flag firmly in September every year? How deep does that control go?
So I'll leave you with this question to chew on. Is Apple's September launch simply the smartest, most integrated business plan we've ever seen? Or has it become something more, the most powerful and unbreakable tradition in all of technology? The answer, I think it's probably both. Thanks for diving into this with me.